whether in the government or in businesses, what do you think could be the one thing for China to do in order to ameliorate the situation?
Well, I think I'll give you two things, not just one. For one, as also some of the speakers mentioned this morning, China has to become much more serious about rule of law.
Yes.
That I would say is number one. You may have followed this recent situation with Nanfang Weekly in Guangzhou. That was all about rule of law. Right. It was the local propaganda bureau chief who changed that editorial in the weekly, and that led to a revolt by the journalists. And the lack of respect for Chinese law, for some Chinese laws, including the constitution, on the part of the government or senior government officials is problem number one in China. Problem number two is that too much power has accumulated in state sector. The role of the state in the economy now is even stronger than it was 10, 15 years ago. Not because there are more SOEs, but because the SOEs we still have are more powerful and have become politically more influential. The special interest groups is not a unique American problem. It's now also a Chinese problem. And the fact that there are so many state enterprise-based interest groups in China is one of the factors that is fueling an elitism in the political system, which is permissive to corruption. So I would cite that as factor number two. So that's my answer to your question, and I doubled my answer.
Thank you.
And do you think the benefits of the appreciation of China's currency outweigh the drawbacks for both China and the U.S.? And and do you agree with Obama's trade policy?
Well, you'd have to be a bit more precise, because the appreciation has been going on since 2005.
Yeah.
Are you talking about a particular period?
No, I just think the appreciation during the past few years.
Well, I don't see any negatives. I see only positives, both for China and for the rest of the world. I think China did the right thing by delinking from the US dollar in July 2005. I think it would have been even better if they had done it 2 years earlier. There are no negatives to moving towards a more market-priced currency. Obviously, many individual exporters find it harder now to export than 5 years ago. But that's unavoidable. The restructuring China's manufacturing sector has to be part of China's reform and evolution. Individuals, yes, may experience narrowing of profit margins, but the country as a whole will benefit because China is shifting towards higher value-added production, higher technology. China is getting out of the manufacturing of teddy bears and tennis shoes towards high-tech, increasingly high-tech commodities and heavy machinery, which is rapidly increasing as a share of China's exports. And that would probably not have happened had it not been for the currency appreciation. So I believe currency appreciation since July 2005 has been a positive. There are no, at the national level, no negatives. At the individual firm level, yes, but at the national level, no.
Final question. We would like to know your opinion on Sino-American relation in next decade. From an economic perspective, would it be possible to achieve a win-win situation between the US and China?
In theory, yes. And I very much hope that the leadership on both sides of the Pacific will manage to steer things in that direction. It doesn't seem to be happening at this moment. I see an accumulation of problems on the political side, on the military side, on the trade side, on the investment side. Just one conflict after another is building up. But in theory, it should be possible, if both sides are wise and take a long-term view of the relationship, to change the dynamics of what's going on in the direction of a more positive relationship for the long term, the next decade, as you said. That will increasingly be a clear win-win for both sides.
I guess my final add-on is, do you think there is only one real superpower that's possible to exist in the world, or do you think they can coexist in both these superpowers?
Well, the Chinese leadership for many years has emphasized the multipolarity as a better organization of world power and distribution of world power. Mr. Jiang Zemin in particular was very strong at emphasizing the need for greater emphasis on multipolarity. So he never believed that the idea of one superpower was a healthy idea. I don't believe that we should think in terms of two superpowers. I think it would be much better if we could move towards an idea of an M2 or M3 or M5, G5, G2, G3, G5 type of relationship of equal partners in global leadership. The unique position that has developed since the end of the Cold War, with the US as the sole remaining superpower, is not a good situation. Nor do I think it would be good if China became the sole next superpower. That would be equally bad. Nor do I think it's right to think in terms of a dual superpower. I think we should get rid of atomic weapons. We should create a new world order with a new monetary system, multipolarity. China would obviously be one of the main pillars. US would be another pillar. Europe would be a pillar. Japan could perhaps remain a pillar. Japan will always remain very important in my opinion. But that would be a much better way of organizing the distribution of power in the world than to think in terms of superpowers.
Okay. Thank you very much.
Okay.
Very much.
My pleasure.